So all of everything, all her action, everything that she did was facial and lots of, you know, stuttering and slurring and, but no actual language available to the character at all.
Well, Jane Wyman once won an Oscar for keeping her big mouth shut. She said it was the smartest thing she ever did. Johnny Belinda, so
Yeah.
it just goes to show you.
Right.
Now, I know that you were in the movie Wait Until Dark with Audrey Hepburn. Give us some stories about that, too.
The way that all developed, after The Nurses, then there was another short segment of television for PBS. It was in a show called Childhood, which was written by Thornton Wilder and done for PBS in New York City. And then there was a role on Broadway, just an extra in, good Lord, what's it called? The David Carradine thing.
Oh, the Holocaust thing.
Yeah, oh God, I can't remember what it's called. That's terrible. Anyway, from that eventually came an audition for the Broadway production of Wait Until Dark, which I went to audition for and got that role, and that's how the movie came from that. Mel Ferrer saw the production on Broadway and called me in when the production for film was going. And I went to see, I didn't really audition for that. I guess I didn't have to because he'd already seen the show. Just went and talked with him and got the role for the film, and which starred Audrey Hepburn and Alan Arkin. And Audrey, I've been lucky all along. I mean, everyone I've worked with has just been absolutely fabulous. The show was Lee Remick and Robert Duvall.
Did the stage play?
Yes.
I see.
Right.
Wow.
And then the film was Alan Arkin and Audrey Hepburn. And they're all fabulous.
Jackie Weston and
right.
Ephraim Zimbalist Jr.
And Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. Yeah.
Gloria?
A little girl.
Come in, Gloria.
She went out.
Oh. I don't call you names. You're right. I shouldn't say things like that. What's wrong with me? It's okay. It isn't okay. People shouldn't say things like that to each other. They're mean things, and people shouldn't say mean things. Just I get terribly frightened sometimes. I'm not a very good blind lady, Gloria, and I'm still not used to all this dark brown. I get cranky and impatient, and I know I look dreadful half the time.
Oh, no, you're gorgeous.
What a lovely thing to say. Thank you, Gloria. I do wish I could do things. You know, important things like cook a souffle or pick a necktie or choose the wallpaper for the bedroom, you know.
Sure, I know. I want to be gorgeous. Guess you can't have everything, huh?
I've just been very lucky working with really good, true, down-to-earth, not stage-struck, starstruck people at all, very professional. And Audrey was just I used to think of her as a thoroughbred. I mean, just a championship thoroughbred, gorgeous lady who had no pretensions at all about her, no matter what, on, off set, anywhere. You know, she was just fabulous.
Huh.
And obviously an excellent actress. She did get an Oscar nomination for Wait Until Dark.
Yeah, I think it was her last one, as a matter of fact.
Probably, yeah.
But,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
And it's strange she lost to Kate Hepburn.
Yes. Yes, He's Coming to Dinner, which
Yeah.
was filmed
Which is,
out here,
yeah.
and she only got it because they didn't give it to Spencer Tracy.
That's
so
right, exactly.
The politics of the Oscar.
Yeah.
Now that you're both working together, what projects can we expect from you in the future? What else will we be?
Well, you know, Julie came up with an idea because the vast body of my work is poetry that I've written, and a lot of it is narrative poetry that tells a story. I'm in love with words. The Verlaine show is music from start to finish, as far as I'm concerned, and a lot of the poetry I write is like that too. It's very listenable to, very auditory focused, and Julie came up with the idea while we were doing the show that she wanted to direct a staged reading of my work with a minimal set, another one-man performance. And we haven't started working on that yet. After Verlaine closed, we got engaged and have been working on the wedding since then.
The next big production.
That's the next stage production, right? But I can see that happening. I mean, I've got, you know, an inch-thick binder of stuff that I've written. And have at it, honey. She's a great director. The good thing about Julie is, you know, she's already familiar with everything that I've written. I've known her for 15 years, and she's seen it all, and has got an innate feel for it. I've worked with other directors, you know, and it's like, when it was my work, I mean, I've acted in other stuff that somebody else wrote, and it's okay. Somebody can direct me however they want, but stuff that I wrote and I feel that attached to, I didn't trust anybody else. I mean, I felt really comfortable with Julie. Handled it really well. It worked me like the Dickens, and it was completely enjoyable because it just kept getting better. She's a perfectionist, and that's what I like, you know. Because I'm a perfectionist as a writer, and I'm a bit of a sloth as an actor, you know, but I'll just sort of go with it.
Well, it has to do with seeing the visual quality of it.
Yeah.
You understand, obviously, the music of the words, and I understand it too. We create the music, and so my ability to adapt the music to the visual is what interests me, specifically in putting this body of poems together as a trying to weave them together as a staged evening of characters, because his characters are very vivid, and the way they speak, they each have musical qualities. And so, I mean, you would do, you know, you'd have very minimal sets, but actual sets and props, and just weave it all together, and maybe some music and stuff. I don't know. We haven't really talked about it much because then we got so involved with the Verlaine, but I'd love to do that. I think that would be an excellent way to promote Phil's writing ability, which is unique these days, I think.
Who's your favorite poet?
Verlaine.
Okay.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's French, you know, and damn if I can understand 4/5 of what he's saying, you know, I've got to run to the dictionary, but it leaps off the page, the musicality of it. It's just gorgeous to me. And that's what's always attracted me first to writing, is what it does with the rhythms, and just how it makes you, how it toys with your emotions just by the way it sounds, let alone what it means. And then that's the whole other undercurrent, you know. Then you can slip your messages in or your meaning, but you get them with the sound first.
Director and actress and play, and I will ask you, who's your favorite character of history? Side that you
Did I want to play?
play or direct a piece or
Historical character.
anybody?
Yeah.
You think of one off?
Well, I'm also a poet, and
Okay.
I'd like to do one-woman shows, Sylvia Plath.
Ah,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Oh,
I wouldn't
cool.
say she's my favorite poet. I would
But-
say my favorite poet is actually Dylan Thomas.
Oh,
But I
okay.
couldn't play that very well. So if I were going to adapt the idea of favorite female poet into a show, probably Sylvia Plath I'd like to do. I'd probably like to play her more than direct her, direct someone else playing her. In terms of directing, I don't know. In terms of actual historical characters, I don't know. I'd have to think about that for a while.
Just curious. I'm always asked sort of an off-the-wall question that kind of goes with, okay, who's your favorite actress?
Right.
Who's your favorite actress?
Favorite actress.
Offhand. One you can think of that comes to mind.
Oh, Lord. Contemporary?
No, whatever.
Oh, that's tough.
Yours?
There's so many.
Actress, oh jeez.
Or actor?
I would say Streep, probably.
Al Pacino.
Oh.
That's not an actress, that's an actor.
No, he's
Well, that's
all right.
either,
Oh, you said
either
actor.
or.
Oh, okay.
Just curious. Always like to ask.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us today with Phil Lumsden and Julie Herrod here at their home in San Francisco. I'm Max Wilson for 20 Dunstan Terrace.
Cindy Olivari, honorary co-chair of the 92 AIDS Bikeathon. Join us on May 9th and help 15 Bay Area AIDS service organizations the fight against AIDS. Pick up a form at a local bike shop or call 415-282-1647 now.
Hello again, this is Larry Eastrick reporting to you for 20 Dunstan Terrace on the Broadway beat. Recently, I had just come back from New York where I saw 2 more shows that are in current production for the new spring season. The first one that I want to mention today is the show called Metro, which is a very interesting show that has been advertised extensively and has finally opened to somewhat mixed reviews. The show Metro is a Polish show imported from Warsaw, where it was a huge hit last year in 1991. That in itself is very unique for the show. It is a show conceived and written and directed and acted entirely by Polish people. What is interesting about the show Metro is that the word itself has become a symbol in the Polish lexicon for meaning a place to go where new ideas can be conceived and can be performed. This is a very high-tech show like Les Miserables or Phantom of the Opera or Miss Saigon, and unfortunately really suffers a lot because of its high-tech qualities. Since it is also conceived, written, and acted by Polish people, the English is done phonetically, and it's very difficult to understand it many times. In a production note within the program, it's interesting to learn that in Poland, before the coming of democracy, actors were trained to either act or to sing or to dance, but were never trained to do all 3 at the same time. So this show Metro is the first one in which an entire Polish company acts, sings, and dances to the music that they have written and performed. Unfortunately, I am not convinced that this show will last too long. It will appeal probably to teenagers and a young crowd, but I really believe that an older going theater crowd will not take to this show very well. A second show that I saw, which was entirely different in its conception and idea, was a show called The High Rollers Social and Pleasure Club. This was a show that is written by and performed by 8 black actors in the style of Ain't Misbehavin' or Black and Blue. It is conceived and written and directed by a man from New Orleans named Alan Toussaint, and the show deals in revue style with his music. He plays the piano on stage with a backup group of 6 musicians while the 8 actors perform in front of him, supposedly in the setting of a social club in New Orleans. Now, Alan Toussaint is somebody that you may or may not know about. He is very well known in the music industry, rock and roll, rhythm and blues style, and has either performed with or written for or in some way produced works for Patti LaBelle, for the Pointer Sisters, for Otis Redding, Three Dog Night, Boz Scaggs, Paul Simon, Joe Cocker, just to name a few. And in the context of this show, which includes about 25 to 30 of his songs, he has written and the actors perform Lady Marmalade, Sea Cruise, Mother-in-Law, Working in a Coal Mine, Jambalaya, I Like It Like That, and Let the Good Times Roll. But my favorite, although it may not be well known, of his songs that is performed within the show is a song called You Can Mess With My Husband, But You Can't Mess With My Man. And it is done with great style by one of the black lady singers. If you are going to New York, I highly recommend a wonderful evening of rhythm and blues, rock and roll songs done by an exciting cast of actors at the Helen Hayes Theater. This is Larry Eastwick signing off for 20 Dunstan Terrace on the Broadway Beat. Until next time, happy show going.
Hi, I'm Miles Norton for An Appreciation of Artistry. Gertrude Lawrence grew up in the London Music Hall tradition at the turn of the century before taking the theater world by storm in 1925 until her death in 1952, just at the beginning of television. She is best remembered for that classy and elegant comedy, Private Lives, in which she played Amanda, Liza Elliott in Kurt Weill's Lady in the Dark, and of course her last role as the beloved Anna in Rodgers and Hammerstein's The King and I. Gertrude Lawrence was a bright star who we now remember from the film Mimi, in a recreation of a Parisian music hall with the song Love Over All.
Love over all, for joy or for sorrow, if he comes your way, never say him nay. Answer his call today or tomorrow. Greet him gladly, madly. Whatever befalls, love overall.
Thank you for joining us today on 20 Terrace. If you have any questions about this show or any show that we present here at 20 Dunstan Terrace, please give us a call at 415-775-5072. Thank you for joining us. I'm Max Wilson.